don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
The flow insane, take my spot, so the range. Shoot my shot with perfect aim. 3rd degree, that perfect flame. Ain't no sleep, that's the game. Oh, so southern, that's the slang. When they see me, that's the main. Chasing checks and fly like planes. Big old stick, I bought a cane. Flick my wrist and bought the ring. I'm so boss, we're not the same. Paid the cost and kept the change. Now I'm walking Hall of Fame. And I reside in the cloud. Grand wishes with these bitches. Taking pictures with the crowd, and I'm out.
Yo, 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 yo. Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Happy Wednesday. Much love to y'all. Shout out to my poets, writers, content creators, to the subscribers, to the commenters. Look, I hope the week is going well. I hope you're staying hydrated. I hope you ain't risking your life out here in this ridiculous heat. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who has been here, rocking with me throughout the year. The title and the topic that you see, it is actually an ongoing discussion right now as we speak. It's been an ongoing discussion ever since the story went viral all over social media. Some of you might know about it, some of you might not. That's fine. I got Sydney in the studio. I'm going to bring her up. I have a clip that's going to kind of clear the air for those of you who don't know what I'm referring to. And, of course, we're going to have a little exchange of thoughts on the subject matter. So do me a solid, like, share, repost, hype. Let the people know that we are on. Your voice is the thumbs up. Your voice is the repost. Your voice lets the algorithm know that these conversations matter. Let me bring Sid up, get this show going, and get comfortable, grab you something to snack on. I got my tea right here, fresh out the freezer. Let's get it.
Hello.
Sid, what's going on?
Not too much, just hanging out with my kids in the playroom to make sure they don't destroy it more. And just, chilling with it, the new guy. Yeah, I can't really say excited to talk about it because, of course, talking about somebody being killed is never fun, but should be a very interesting topic, and I'm very excited about the conversation itself.
Yeah, just to put all of this out here before I play it. So there's multiple layers to this conversation on the internet right now. There are people who are playing the if the roles were reverse card. There are people who are questioning if this 20-year-old knew better. Why wasn't this 13-year-old raised better? Why was the plethora of digital output showcasing that she could very well have been misleading him, and the lifestyle that she's portraying on the internet is a lot. It's a lot. I'm gonna shut up though. I'm gonna bring this up on the big screen. I'm gonna let it play. It's like 3 minutes, and we'll get to it.
All right, y'all. So we have an update on Kendra Scott. She is the Memphis mother who fatally shot a 20-year-old man that was found under her 13-year-old daughter's bed. Today, she was in court, and the judge did issue her a bond of $100,000. Go ahead and grab your tea and have a seat. Let's get into it. So as previously reported on July 17th, Memphis police officers responded to a shooting call at a home in the 3000 block of Travis Road. Now, when they arrived on the scene, they found a man deceased near the porch with a GSW to the head. Now, the man was later identified as 20-year-old Rodarius Morton. Again, he was pronounced deceased at the scene. Now, according to the arrest affidavit, a juvenile that was in the home, reportedly the 13-year-old girl, Kendra's daughter, told investigators that she invited 20-year-old Rodarius Morton inside of the home at around 1 a.m. He came through the back door. Now, at around 1:30 a.m., she heard her mother, Kendra Scott, knocking at the door saying, "Who is in my house?" Now, after some time, she did let her mother inside the home, in which she discovered Rodarius Morton hiding under her bed. Now, Rodarius reportedly gathered all of his things and began to exit the home when he allegedly got into a verbal altercation with Kendra, in which she pulled out her weapon and fatally shot him in the back of the head. And that is why he was found on or near the front porch. So Kendra was arrested and charged that day with first-degree murder and employment of a firearm during the commission of a dangerous felony. Now, during her court appearance today, she was given a $100,000 bond, and as a condition of that bond, she was ordered to stay away from the victim's family. Now, she does have a defense attorney at this time, Blake Ballin, who said that at this moment, they aren't sure if this qualifies as the state's new stand your ground law. They will be waiting for the doorbell footage as well as the autopsy report. According to the local news station, he said, and I quote, "I don't know enough about what led to the actual shooting. I don't know if there was a scuffle. I don't know if there was an accidental discharge. I just don't know at this time." So Kendra is expected back in court on August 3rd. Again, her bond is set at $100,000. So there's been a lot of chatter online regarding this situation, specifically about the 13-year-old girl. I've heard, her being fast, her being grown, her being hot in the ass. I've heard all of those things, but I'm going to tell you this. There isn't a 13-year-old girl in this world that should be fast enough, hot enough, grown enough to entertain a 20-year-old man. It should never happen. There isn't a bust-down wig or a skimpy outfit or a risque photo that's posted on Annalise Keaton's internet that should ever make a grown-ass man want to enter the home of a 13-year-old girl. And we know damn well he wasn't there to teach her math. I declare, honey, what a disgrace. You ones that are upholding this and condoning this, you really give me pause. And it makes me scared for my own daughter in the future. Because if you would uphold this type of situation, you disturb me. There's nothing that little young girl should have ever done to get this 20-year-old man to come to her house with the intention of doing anything. And it really pisses me off to the highest level of festivity to see our Black women searching for a way to justify this despicable, disturbing, and predatory behavior. Now, do I think that the mother could have handled this situation differently? Absolutely. I do think that she could, but she didn't. So it is what it is, okay? He shouldn't have been there. If he wouldn't have been there, he'd be alive today. Y'all put your thoughts in the comments. It's Double D Mo for the Black Accurate News.
Look, I'm going to say this to open up. I did a reaction to this. In the reaction, I have parallel conversations. One, a woman pretty much alluding to the same things that she is, and then I have a guy who is alluding to a separate case where a mother caught a grown woman in the same situation, flipped, with a 13-year-old boy. In that case, the woman didn't lose her life. What I want to say, I know it's a real touchy and sensitive subject. I'm going to say nobody won here. This was a loss all across the board. What I'm not going to do is take the blame off of anybody here, because everybody was a participant to some degree. That might sound vague to you. It's not vague to me. I'm going to go into more detail with this, but I just want to put that out there as a disclaimer. I point the finger at everyone involved. It's an unfortunate situation, but I'm going to land right there.
Yeah, I can, as a mother, especially one with a daughter, I can understand her reaction, especially because I don't know if she exactly knew of the situation, but if any person were to find, give me 1 second, Everest, don't play with that, put it by the door. Grabbing things they shouldn't. If any person found a strange man in their house in general, they would probably freak out. Like, I don't imagine any person would be very welcoming about finding a strange man in their house, let alone it being in their young daughter's room. So I can understand why she had the response that she did. But obviously, for me, if you're going to shoot someone out of self-defense, it sounds like it's sympathizing with the person, and I definitely don't intend for it to be that way. Like, obviously the person should be prosecuted and given punishment and stuff like that. But if you're going to shoot someone out of self-defense, you should at least give them the chance to survive by shooting them in a non-vital organ area, just to incapacitate them. And I know other people might have different beliefs in regards to that. There are people that support the like shoot to kill intruder type of deal. But I feel like you should at least give somebody the opportunity to live and actually face the consequences. Because when somebody dies, like, obviously they're never ever going to have any accountability for what they did. So yeah, the fact that she killed him is a bit like, that brings up some issues. And then I also wonder how much she knew going into this, if she had already confronted her daughter about this relationship and knew that he existed and recognized him and shot him more out of emotion than protection. So yeah, I'm interested in this dynamic, and whether or not it would be. It kind of reminds me of the conversation we just had the other day. I forgot exactly the story, but it was another, like, it was the woman that got attacked in the parking lot. We were deciding whether or not it was like self-defense or like, reminds me of that debate.
Two points. One, over the last week or two, I'm in and out of streams, and I'm listening to a multifaceted group of individuals discuss this case, and they all had different points of views. One that they highlighted was, I thought was interesting. There are too many different stories, too many versions of what went down. Nobody is in the house with them. On one side, everybody agrees, the general consensus is, even with the daughter's testimony, she admits she invited him into the home, but you snuck him in through the window. In another conversation, it highlights how the mother alluded to, you're going to put me in a position to where I'm going to end up killing one of these people if I catch them in this house, which in context sounded like what she's basically saying is, you've dealt with these patterns before, maybe not to this extreme, but you know that your child is moving way faster than she should, and your response to combat that is violence. I agree, he should be facing a judge. Two other things that I want to say, right? There are high school boys and girls that look older than me. I'm not saying this or that. I'm just saying you can't deny that. It's people who got full grown beards and everything. So I'm not minimizing the predatory aspect of the discussion here or trying to downplay it. What I am saying is, because I don't believe he didn't know, but in the same breath, everything is overly sexualized. Just about every female that you see on the internet these days are half dressed and half naked and thirsting and advertising that they're open for business in some type of capacity, like it or not. So you got a whirlpool of different points that people are trying to touch on. I don't know how you attack or approach all of them individually without being unbiased. My honest opinion, and it's just mine, this is what happens when you don't properly raise your people. Period. Look at our government, look at the adults that run the country. They're no better. But they've been getting away with it for decades, generations even. I don't believe that he knew, or let me rephrase that. I think he knew that she was young. And because of how perverse the world is now and how we don't have parental control, like we used to over devices. We're not really gatekeeping and monitoring what our loved ones are doing, and how we've given so much leeway to people who overly indulge in certain stuff. He felt comfortable enough to do it, and she feels free and comfortable enough to be out here doing what she's doing. Whether or not you say he's predatory or not, she's just as bad for even having that type of mindset to be having sex or even entertaining anybody. She shouldn't be thinking about relationships, intercourse, none of that at her age. Half the freedoms that she has, she shouldn't even have them. And as far as him, where did all of that perversion come from? How did you get to a place at 20 years old where you're identifying more with little kids than someone in your own age group? Like, who taught you that? How was this not alarming to the family? It's so much. It's so much. I'm gonna land right there, but
Interesting that you bring up the getting older, like looking older. I actually just watched a documentary, I think it was yesterday, talking about how because of stress, Gen Z is below millennial. Gen Z and Gen Alpha are aging faster than other generations before them because of the stress that they're under, particularly Gen Z, because they're the ones that graduated college during the skyrocketing prices of education and came into a job market where there is no jobs, there's high rent, there's high interest rates on credit cards. A lot of them already have accumulated credit. And so they're far more stressed than any other generation before, and stress ages you. And so, and this whole discussion that I saw was talking about even the Gen Alpha or Gen Z themselves were acknowledging that they look older than they are. Yeah, so it's interesting because I wonder if that is an aspect to this where she looked older and so she was able to entice somebody that was older, even though I also would expect that he was looking for somebody younger. And I also was wondering which one, if not both, lied about their ages, because I know routinely younger kids are going to lie about their age to say that they're older, and people who are trying to entice minors will probably lie that they're younger, saying like, oh, I'm 18. And then after they kind of get their hooks in, then they'll be like, oh, actually, I'm 20. So I wonder if there was some manipulation on either end. And it also kind of made me think of, because you were bringing up how it's everyone's fault. It may not be a fault of her own, but the mother's definitely responsible in a way for her daughter's behavior, because obviously she's the one that raised her and made some decisions along the way that encouraged this particular behavior. We don't know if the father's in the picture, and that has a huge impact on a daughter's reaction to relationships and sexualization. They're more likely to seek attention because they hadn't gotten that attention from their father figure, who would have been the one to like guide them and lift them up and stuff like that. And it also makes me think of a case that I saw last week of it was, I think she was 13. She was either 13 or 16, but she was in a relationship with like a 30 to 35-year-old man. And she was basically the one that was orchestrating everything and insisted that he help him kill his mother. And she was the one that was behind like the planning and the execution, and like was a runaway and stuff like that. So we can underestimate, not that it's their fault at all, because obviously an adult male should not be preying on a young child. And as soon as he found out her age, any smart non-criminal individual would step back and be like, okay, I'm not into this, thank you and goodbye. You should probably I should probably tell your parents about this. But obviously he continued to pursue her, knowing at least her age, around what her age was. But they can be equally complicit in that relationship. Obviously she was on something that enabled her to find this man. As you were saying, like, parents need to be on top of what their children are doing online, because they can meet or do innumerable things that can get them in trouble, whether it's accidentally falling for scams because they don't know any better, or obviously meeting people that they shouldn't be meeting, getting bullied. Like, there's so many things that can happen if you let your child run amok on the internet without any guidance at all. That was something I think that was different for millennials than it is for the younger generations. Is when I guess it might be a little biased because both my parents were in the computer industry, but when I was growing up learning about the internet, they were very on top of reminding me of all the dangers and pitfalls that come with the internet. Like, I mean, we grew up with the "you want a free laptop" type advertisements, and so they were able to coach me about like how to detect if something is a truth or a lie or not. But now it's so much harder to identify that these young people that have no guidance from their parents will fall for that stuff. So the daughter is just as complicit as the man, is just as complicit as the mom. But we also have to consider a child's mind is not going to think the same. So the responsibility would more heavily fall onto the adults to make the right decisions in this particular case.
Agreed. Goes back to what I said earlier, and I don't think people take this into consideration. We've gotten so separated or disconnected from reality that we don't see the people in front of us no more. Everything is digitized. I got a perfect example for what I'm speaking on. I'll be dropping something tomorrow, and that's neither here nor there, but social media is basically the gateway to Atlantis. It's the promised land of heaven on earth. It is the kingdom. It is your fantasy. It's whatever you want it to be.
Eden with snakes.
Thank you. Exactly. So we all go here. We have a plan. We have feelings and emotions and desires, and everything seems to be at the palm of our hand. So you can go into somebody's DM at any given moment, just like if you were in person, except the difference is nobody is doing that anymore. Rejection won't permit you to do that, but you feel like you have access to people because of the internet. You feel like you can be a rapper or a singer or this, that, or third because of the internet, because of the influencers, because of the content. As a tribe, we're not a tribe. We're not involved. We're not invested. We're not asking questions. We're not supervising. We're not micromanaging. Nothing. MTV, BET, certain platforms, they're raising the kids. Perversion.
Music videos too. Music
Yeah.
videos have so much, like the clothing, the behavior and dancing. Yeah, I've sorry, I just wanted to add in, like, I've seen videos of 5-year-olds like twerking and dancing to like really overt music.
And to add further context to that, we've gotten to a point where what you just threw out there as an example, the very same people will defend it and say there's nothing wrong with it. We've gotten to a place where what used to hold weight in disdain, now it's perfectly fine. It's like you done eliminated every boundary and barrier that was protecting your loved ones, and you allowed the animals and the prisoners to run free. And now everybody is horny, overly sexual, overly superficial, rambunctious, rebellious, disrespectful, out of touch. What you expect? What you expect? The kids are smoking, drinking, popping pills, having kids at 12, 11 years old, sleeping with teachers. We're not, like, I'm not contesting if they have the brain capacity to make those decisions. Nobody is questioning that. What I'm saying is we dropped the ball. A lot of people have dropped the ball. Why does a 20-year-old not have enough depth instilled in him to know that I shouldn't be doing this? And why is a 13-year-old on social media taking raunchy pictures and videos and spread open? And why does someone like that have that type of track record? And why is it okay? Why wasn't it reported a long time ago? Like, if you've seen these things happening, why didn't you say, oh, nah, she wait, hell no, I'm telling your mom, I'm reporting this channel. No, you're going against community guidelines. Isn't that what these apps are for? They tell you X, Y, Z, and if you're not following them, then so why ain't nobody putting checks and balances here? She let him in. I think it was both. I think it was a bit of manipulation, and they were both complicit. I'm not okay with it, but I believe that it was consensual on both ends. I believe if both of them had the right upbringing, that scenario doesn't happen. Or maybe it still would happen. You can't really predict. Like, Jeffrey Dahmer was a regular person, and you see how that turned out. I don't know. It's, from my understanding, she caught him under the bed, which if you have to sneak in the person's house, and I say that on the recording, if I got to sneak in your house, I probably shouldn't be messing with you. But you get caught in a room under the bed, They have an exchange. Allegedly, we don't know what happened. She didn't do anything to him in the house. She waited until they got outside of the house. She had all the opportunities in the world to call the police. She opted to do something completely different. To me, she killed him because he's a man sleeping with my child. I don't believe there was no violence there. I don't believe this is one of them cases where he was beating her up or beating up the daughter and stealing and all. I don't see it. That I believe that the mama don't have control over her temper. She already feels a type of way towards men anyway. And I'm not saying she didn't have a right to be upset, but this is one of them things I be talking about. If something happens, you have a split decision. You got to know this is life altering. He should be in jail, not in the ground. You shot him in the back of the head. That to me tells me that he was walking away from you. He wasn't coming at you. Everything that I've heard suggests that he was just gathering his things and he was leaving. But you just didn't like the fact that he was in there with your daughter and not really taking account of, well, y'all wouldn't be here if you did better by raising her. I don't know where the father is, but I can see how like these pieces kind of fall into place. I'm gonna shut up for now, but yeah, that's nasty.
What you brought up about the culture that we live in too was something that I was also thinking about because again, I've also seen a lot of content showing like 12, 13, even some that are even younger, like 9, 10, messing around with makeup, messing around with heels, wearing skimpy clothing. Like I've even seen it go as far as like they have challenges of like mother dress the child versus what the grandmother dresses the child up in. And like with the grandmother, she puts her in a dress with like tights underneath and then like a long sleeve shirt under the dress and then like a cute little hat or something. And then the mother goes for like skin tight little like skimpy shorts and a tank top and some like fancy jacket and whatever. Like it comes from both ends where we have kids that are not only being raised by the internet and are seeing videos, music, TV shows. I mean, they even do things to kids' cartoons now. I saw another discussion a couple months ago talking about the changes to children's TV shows and how even stuff like SpongeBob and like I don't know, a lot of the middle-aged kid movie TV shows and stuff, but a lot of these shows that are made for kids have like an obsession with butts or like they have certain jokes and they like drop innuendos that are kind of obvious and stuff like that. Kind of like if anyone's seen The Mask, that was technically for kids, but that was so chock full of adult jokes and activity, like behaviors and emulations of certain behaviors that adults do. And the kids are sometimes exposed to this with zero guidance from their parents at all, where the parents just kind of free range it, don't talk to the kids about what they're seeing, don't give any context at all. And then some on the and then we have some parents that actively promote it. They live that lifestyle themselves. They're obsessed with their appearance. They encourage their kids to be obsessed with their appearance. Basically, they're giving their 7-year-olds makeup for Easter and instead of eggs and chocolate and an Easter basket. Like, we've adultified childhood for a lot of kids, and they don't have the opportunity to be
Bang, 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 bang.
and like instead of playing with, like, for example, I have a set of dolls from their characters from Madeline, and they have normal bodies, like they're shaped like most humans are shaped. But then you have the Barbies that have, or Bratz dolls that have the long skinny legs, and the feet are made for high heel shoes, and they're like, they have the like beautiful feminized features and stuff like that. Like, these are the types of toys that kids are being exposed to. So even in their own playtime, they're being exposed to adult ideology and expectations. I think it's I think when it's that I think when it's that pervasive, it okay, thank you. One back up. When it's that pervasive, it's hard for them to escape that lifestyle, that expectation. I've heard of like 12, 13-year-olds taking their life because they were so ashamed of how they looked in comparison to their peers, which is crazy because they haven't even come into their adult body. Like, 13 years old, 14 years old, that's the most awkward stage anyone could ever go through. Like, you don't know who you are. You don't know how to like make yourself look nice yet. You're still like learning all this stuff. But when you're exposed to influencers, Instagram, TikTok, showing all these older people, and like especially TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, they're going to be exposed to, it's not going to fit you. When they're exposed to all those types of people living, like back when we were kids, we had more kidified locations to go to, but now it's kind of a mash of adult content with stuff that's supposedly for kids. And so there's very limited ways for, besides completely banning them from the internet, to prevent them from seeing adult content. And I don't mean like the R-rated adult content. I mean like adult type, like do my makeup with me and buy all these products, get all these fancy purses and shoes and stuff. Because at that age, they're super impressionable. And if they see people living this like fantasy life, that's what they're going to aspire to be. That's why we have 8 to 9 out of 10 students in schools now wanting to be social media influencers and not doctors, not scientists, nothing intellectual, because they've been exposed to so many people that make it big and become rich and have all these fancy things that they're like, oh, that's the lifestyle that indicates that I'm successful, so that's what I want. But they don't get the opportunity to be exposed to professionals and what life is more likely going to be like. Most people are never going to make it big, never going to be luxury, never going to be like this top model type individual. But when you have the algorithm pushing that type of life and those types of people, that's what they're going to expect for their life. That's what they're going to think that they're going to see. They're not looking at what their parents are, like we did back then. Like kids would see their parents doing what they do and would be inspired by them. They'd connect with their teacher and be inspired to be in education, or they like see something cool at a museum and decide they want to be a historian. But now, like the majority of kids, they don't go out to places like that. They're not going to libraries. They're not hanging out at the park. They're not doing anything that would encourage thought type activities. And instead, they're just mindlessly scrolling on TikTok, mindlessly going on YouTube, getting access to all of these different adult worlds, and it's skewing their perception of what's normal. And so they're going to be acting older than they really are. So it would make sense that the children, or in this particular case, this child would gravitate towards an older relationship because it makes them feel important, powerful, special, like, oh, this adult chose me. And so there's this element of almost like subtle manipulation without his hand in it, where she's more interested in the idea of being mature before everyone else is. And it's almost like this is a cool thing to do. This is something that I can do to impress my friends. This is something that will get me popularity, which is very important at that age. So I think there's a pretty substantial element of her peers influencing her to make decisions like that without really considering the consequences or dangers of what she's doing. Kids at that age are often more innocent, and unless they've had an experience otherwise, they're going to assume that anybody's safe, that anybody could be trusted, and would be less inclined to reject this individual. Like when you're that age, you're more likely to kind of be like, okay, sure, yes, of course. I not really making logic-based judgment calls, but more emotional-based calls, and that enticement for attention and popularity would end up influencing their choices. So yeah, I think society itself is probably making these types of relationships more likely because it's putting kids into spots where they're able to meet these types of people. I mean, the age verification stuff is basically a joke. Like, you just have to press yes or no, and most of them will never do anything to actually verify your age. Sometimes they'll ask you to take a picture, but even that, you can kind of trick the system in some ways. So yeah, it's easier than ever for kids to encounter adults that have those types of interests. And then you also have kids that are spending so much time online that they're numbed. They don't have a lot of logic supporting their behavior. They're just kind of going with whatever. Like the doom scrolling idea really affects the psychology of people. People underestimate how damaging it is to the brain. It causes decision fatigue, and so it makes you more lazy because then you're exhausted and can't decide to do dishes, won't decide to do the laundry. Like, it literally takes away your autonomy and also zones you out for extended periods of time without you even recognizing how much time has passed. And so you end up wasting a lot of your precious time. And for those that have that in school, they can continue this relationship 24/7. Like, they have access to this type of attention whenever they want it. So it's a recipe for disaster. We have parents that aren't paying attention. We have an internet that allows them unfettered access to basically anyone or anything. And then we have the cesspool of information that is the internet, which won't really like it'll introduce them to any topics imaginable. And yeah, this overly overt society just kind of reinforces this behavior. So yeah, I definitely think that this is not an isolated incident. We're going to be seeing this again. I mean, we're still seeing this every single day with politicians and powerful people, where all of these like super anti gay LGBT type people are being found trying to sleep with underage children. So yeah, this is, I hate to say it's normalized because it's not really normalized. Most normal people don't agree with this behavior, but it's becoming obvious how prevalent it actually is. We need a lot of Chris Hansons out there.
They got clones, so I don't think it's impossible. Satire aside, though, your life is gone. You quoted, "I did what I had to do." But I'm gonna tell you something. Your decision didn't position your daughter any higher. Matter of fact, you more than likely made it worse. And here's why. See, even though I'm contentious with how you were parenting, she had you. She had some type of structure. Where is she going now? And what's going to happen moving forward? The pattern doesn't stop because you got rid of a problem. Like your emotions decided to move on something for short-term placement of satisfaction, but in the long run, your daughter still has an issue. The community still has a bigger issue. Whatever she picked up on, then however she's been moving, didn't stop when he lost his life. You removing yourself from her presence just gives her more access to the very things that she was embracing before you got arrested. So now the guy that she was messing around with is gone. I'm pretty sure she's traumatized by that to some extent. She just lost her mom forever. Nothing that is broken inside of her is going to get fixed unless somebody steps in with some sense. And even then, it's going to take a lot of work if we are fortunate enough to have that. If she doesn't have it, what happens to her now? You didn't stop the problem. You made it worse. The issue is not just the fact that he was a 20-year-old. He's not, to me, y'all make arguments that even at 20 you don't know any better. When you say, oh, a guy that's 30 dealing with someone who is 18, 20, 21. Y'all say that they don't know any better at their age. I've seen it. I've heard that. So what? It doesn't apply to a male that's 20? Again, go back. I'm not condoning. What I am saying is it's a spirit that's going from person to person. It's everything that you just said. It's the lack of community in the house. It's just everything. You gone. I don't even want to speak negatively on her future or nothing like that. But you kind of look at the footprints, follow the trail. Where is it going? Who's going to change it? I don't know, man. Mom, you should have thought that one out. You really should have thought that one out. This is where it's like y'all can't be letting your feelings and your emotions overtake you in certain situations. This is where you know how mature you are or not. If this was like a life or death situation and you had to do what you did, I get that. This is every parent's nightmare. Every uncle, aunt, this is everybody's nightmare. Nobody wants to see their loved ones getting preyed on by an adult. So y'all just think that taking the life of someone is the way to deal with the problem? I don't know. I'm exhausted with it. Of course, everybody got their own opinions. My thoughts and prayers go out to that 13-year-old. You don't know the world that you really live in at all. You think this right here is life? It's not. This is not reality. And a lot of your counterparts are your age, homeless too. A lot of them died on the street thinking that this was MTV. These grown men preying on kids and all that. If we want better and we want actual positive results, then we can't keep on saying it's not my business, so I'm not going to get involved with it. See something, say something. There shouldn't be a 13. There should be nobody. I'm glad. Who was it? Canada, or it was like one of them countries. There shouldn't be no child on the internet dressed like they going to the club. They shouldn't be consuming none of the content that we watch. It's bad enough that we watch it. That's all I got. If you want to say anything before we close out, we got the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to address one last point, which I brought up at the very beginning. But if she truly wanted to claim self-defense, she would have shot him in an area that he could survive from. Because basically, unless you live under a rock and know nothing about science, getting shot in the head is almost 99% fatal. Like, if you get hit in the head with a bullet, if you do survive, you're going to have pretty extensive brain damage, because what it does when it enters your head is it, like, the shock wave damages your entire brain as it goes through. And as you said, she shot him in the back of the head. So he was either running away or in some way leaving the situation. Give me a minute. Everest, go in the kitchen. So it wasn't self-defense. Like, I don't know if it's different in every state, but the law says that your life has to be in imminent danger. You have to believe that your life is in danger. And if you're shooting someone in the back of the head, they're very clearly not pursuing you. They're not putting you in a position where you might feel like you are at risk of being killed yourself. Like, he was hiding under the bed, and I doubt he had a weapon. Obviously, I don't know if that's true or not, but if he was if he was in fact leaving, that self-defense claim kind of goes away, because obviously he was not pursuing her. So that's another point that I think is important to mention, is she might have tried to claim self-defense, but her behavior and his injuries don't reflect self-defense. And as you said, I'm fairly certain that she was acting out of emotion and not protection. But yeah, my heart goes out to that 13-year-old, because obviously she's been through stuff. She's going to be going through some stuff. Hopefully she is given access to a positive role model in her life that is able to support her and guide her back onto the right path. And I hope that it'll be tough, but I hope this situation isn't deeply traumatizing to her, because I imagine losing her mother and her boyfriend, however that relationship was, it is going to be traumatizing. So praying for her recovery and a brighter future than she could have been dealing with. And my heart goes out to that family too that lost their son, because even though he did what he did, it still doesn't hurt any less for the innocent bystanding family members. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, look, I thank you for pulling up, and I appreciate everybody who tuned in this evening. I hope y'all guys enjoy the rest of y'all night. Drive safe on the road. Do me a solid before y'all go.
Push the goddamn button back.
Y'all be blessed. Sleep well. Adorable.
He says thanks for watching, even though he slept through the whole thing.
That's all right. I'm glad you could make it with us. Y'all be blessed. I will see you guys tomorrow. We out. Peace.
See you Friday.
The flow insane, take my spot, so the range. Shoot my shot with perfect aim. 3rd degree, that perfect flame. Ain't no sleep, that's the game. Oh, so southern, that's the slang. When they see me, that's the main. Chasing checks and fly like planes. Big old stick, I bought a cane. Flick my wrist and bought the ring. I'm so boss, we're not the same. Paid the cost and kept the change. Now I'm walking Hall of Fame. And I reside in the cloud. Grand wishes, with these bitches, taking pictures.